Hello everyone, welcome to this video. My name is Ryan, I have cerebral palsy and I've used a walker my entire life. Today we're going to talk about why so many people think they're disabled. I remember when I was in first grade, a kid came up to me and he was like, "What happened to you?" And I remember talking to him and I was like, well, one day I'm going to learn how to walk. I'm going to walk normally just like you. And as a kid, my entire life revolved around trying to be normal, trying to walk normally, trying to just be able to do normal things. Years later in high school, I ended up bumping into that kid again, and he was like, "Hey Ryan, do you remember when you said that you were gonna walk?" It's interesting because when I was younger, I never wanted to be considered disabled. I never liked the disability label. When I was growing up, I literally didn't know anybody that had a disability. I knew one kid that was in a wheelchair. That was it. Today, now that I'm an adult, literally everyone and their grandmother has a disability. They have ADHD or anxiety or depression or some sort of mental illness. I'm not saying that those conditions aren't real. I'm not questioning the diagnosis at all. But what I find really interesting about the entire thing is that so many people are willing to adopt the disability label. It's really strange to me because it was a label that I tried so hard to get away from when I was a kid. And I started thinking, why is it that so many people have a disability now? There's this thing that I call a Defiance Pass. You know how black people, they can say the N-word, but if you're not black, you can't say it? But there is something called an N-word pass, and it's like this unwritten rule that some people have an N-word pass, and they can get away with saying it without any sort of social repercussions. There's a similar thing with having a disability. When you have a disability, you get social permissions that able-bodied people just don't have. I actually discovered this when I was in high school. My senior year of high school, I just didn't go to school for the first hour of the day. And eventually the school approached me about it and they were like, "Why are you coming to school an hour late?" And I looked at them and I was like, "I have a disability." And they said to me, "Cool." And I realized that this Defiance Pass actually has value. You can use it to get out of certain obligations. And when somebody says something to you and they say, "Hey, you can't do this or that," you're just like, "I have a disability." And they can't really argue that. It's because the social cost for an able-bodied person is too high to have any sort of conflict with somebody that has a disability. Nobody wants to be seen as dunking on a person with a disability. And then it dawned on me that the reason why so many people consider themselves to be disabled these days is because they want a Defiance Pass. Look, modern life is really difficult. It's hard for people to get ahead. A lot of people want a way to opt out of normal responsibilities without consequences. And a Defiance Pass allows you to do it. Yeah, you may have family members that criticize you and call you lazy, but most people are just not gonna come at you if you say you have a disability. The incentives have totally changed. I understand that there are people out there that have severe disabilities. They genuinely cannot do certain things. But there's one thing to have a condition, and there's another thing to adopt the label of, "I have a disability." What's happening is that disability is now being used as a shield. I'm talking about using the Defiance Pass to avoid discomfort, responsibility, failure. There's a difference between using the Defiance Pass to avoid responsibilities and to avoid life, and then using it to make life happen for you. When you use your condition as a shield from life, you give up the opportunity to discover who you truly are and what you're capable of.